Good evening. Members of the public are encouraged to participate in meetings by, one, accessing the webcast at www.cityofclovis.com/agendas, two, providing written comments at the same website, three, participating by phone, or four, coming to the City Council meeting in person. I'll call the meeting to order, and the flag salute will be led by Councilmember Moana Tua.
Join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. Ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ashbeck? Here. Councilmember?
Here. Here.
Councilmember Whalen?
I am here. Next item, public comments. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on any matter within the City Council's jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda. In order for everyone to be heard, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less, or 10 minutes per topic. Anyone wishing to be placed on the agenda for a specific topic should contact the City Manager's office and submit correspondence at least 10 days before the desired date of appearance. Anyone wishing to make a comment on anything that's not on the agenda? You can touch the little button there and turn the, that one. Good.
Okay.
Give us your name and address and...
Good evening, council members, and thank you for allowing me to speak to regards to you and our concerns. My name is Sherry Persons, and I live at 156 Sunnyside Avenue. I'm here to represent myself and two other neighbors, Cheryl Medrano and James Brenda. We're following up in regards to the Sunnyside main water break that occurred on January 3rd, 2022. And I'm not a public speaker, so forgive me if I stutter. First of all, we'd like to thank you for extending the settlement offer through November 30th, 2022. However, our lives are still impacted by the issue with the city being at 100% fault. We are here today to assure and present future concerns with the ability to have our homes rebuilt. We as a community do not believe that we are obligated to sell our properties based on the city's settlement request of fair market value. We feel that extending this offer does not substantiate our belief system provided by the City of Clovis. We as a collaborative neighborhood are asking you to consider honoring our individual presentations and counteroffers in rebuilding our homes to make us whole. On September 30th, 2022, I had a meeting with Andy Hausler and Chester Walls. I felt that I was left to my own devices to create a counteroffer in order to have my house rebuilt. Chester indicated that I had a choice to counteroffer within 20 days, and I could proceed with a counteroffer by getting quotes in regards to destruction of my home, excavation, and adhere to any of the city's ordinance. Chester suggested that I obtain my own engineering report from an outside specialist or consultant, even though the city had already completed this process. I felt that the city was trying to discredit my investment and not take full responsibility for the main water line rupturing and damaging my property. To ask me to do a construction project is beyond my expertise. Therefore, the city should have started planning for a solution and resolution prior to 9 months. The good news is we have been working with a trusted contractor with hopes of the city accepting the represented plan to rebuild our homes. We have discouraged and rejected offers from outside media and legal counsel in order to eliminate a negative input and a tainted reputation for the City of Clovis. Our efforts are to have City of Clovis stand by their motto with our concerns and well-being of the longtime residents who have kept these properties generation after generation. Speaking for myself, I have taken pride in my home by upgrading, remodeling, and maintaining my investment, and would continue this pride with a rebuilt structure. Also, the unknown issue about my home has caused stress, fear, anxiety, and sleepless nights. I am still residing in my house with a sinkhole, shifted pillars, large trees that have fallen, busted sprinkler system of 6 stations that include 25 rainbirds. A garage and storage sheds have shifted with inability to close the outside doors. My tile that I've only had for a year is now separating from my bathroom wall, and today my shower had a loud popping noise. So now back to the focus of us as collaborative neighbors. We also did research within the parameters of our neighborhood and surrounding areas. We compared other water main damages and floods and how the city provided resolutions. Upon our research on the KMPH website, we discovered there were several claims that occurred in our area within the past 5 years. Ours being the most recent, January 2022. Prior was September 21st at Sierra and Elm, which is only 2 blocks to the north of us. June 2021, Shepherd, Peach, and Minnewawa. February 2019, 3rd and Cole, which is 2 blocks to the south of us. January 2019, sinkhole, Chenault and Clovis, where a vehicle was impacted by that hole. November 2017, Herndon and Clovis. May 2017, Bullard and 168. We feel that if the city does not take action to update any of the main water lines or create storm drains, then there will be ongoing damages to other areas and could possibly happen again to us. We are anticipating that the city will consider our counteroffers with rebuilding and having other related expenses covered. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment on something not on the agenda?
Good evening. My name is Mel Lubicic, and I'll make this fairly brief. I'm the owner of several commercial buildings at Fur and Villa, Fur and Halifax. One in particular that's become an issue is 221 West Fur, which occupies Clovis Medical Group, Thrive Physical Therapy, and Dr. Matt Malin. So it's kind of an odd thing that's happened all of a sudden. We got several buildings around there and never had this happen, but we have an abundance of cats that are deciding to live and use our property, and particularly right there at that by Clovis Medical Group for their toilet. It's causing quite a stir with the patients coming there, and there's not a good smell, and you can imagine. Don't need to elaborate on that. My tenant, I guess, reached out to the city as well as SPCA and really anybody that would listen, and pretty much was told that there's not a whole lot anybody can do. If you want to catch the cats, she was told that you can take them and get them fixed and bring them back. I guess you would get some assistance for that. None of which really helps because they're in the doctoring business and not equipped to do any of that. And I'm in the development business. We build buildings and we rent them. And frankly, I've heard of these kinds of problems on farms and things. But we're just at a loss. So we're just basically coming here with our hat in our hand and asking, is there anything that our animal control can do to help? Because frankly, we're out of ideas. I thank you for your time and considering any help you could give would be appreciated.
Thank you. We will pass your concerns over to the police department and animal control.
We do have I think we have a public comment from someone in your, yes, from you. So we have that, and then there's a written report from our animal services supervisor. So I don't know if you've seen that. Aaron?
And I'd also recommend that you refer Ms. Ford to the gentleman so that they can meet out after and get more detail, but you have some detail in the report that was written.
Hi. Your hair got long.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
There you go.
Okay. Close the public comment portion and move on to ordinances and resolutions. With respect to the approval of resolutions and ordinances, the reading of the title shall be deemed a motion to waive a reading of the complete resolution or ordinance. And unless there is a request by a council member that the resolution or ordinance be read in full, further reading of the resolution or ordinance shall be deemed waived by unanimous consent of the council. Consent calendar, items considered routine in nature are to be placed upon the consent calendar. They will all be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member requests individual consideration. A council member's vote in favor of the consent calendar is considered and recorded as a separate affirmative vote in favor of each action listed. Motions in favor of adoption of the consent calendar are deemed to include a motion to waive the reading of any ordinance or resolution on the consent calendar. For adoption of ordinances, only those that have received a unanimous vote upon introduction are considered consent items. Does any council member want to pull an item that they want to consider by themselves? No? Seeing none. Anyone in the public here today wishing to pull an item from the consent calendar for individual consideration? I see none. Anyone on the web?
No.
Okay.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the motion carries, 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absence. Next item of council items, consider approval of appointment of Consolidated Mosquito Abatement District, and,
Unknown caller.
I'll take it from there.
this was a political call. I've been getting like 1,000 of those. Drew, stop it. Okay. And, city manager will, John Holt.
I'd like an answer for you and just
It's
chat with them.
political call.
That is funny.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Jennifer Willems was appointed to the district in September of 2021. Her term expires next month. The mayor and the district manager, Steve Mulligan, are recommending reappointment. The 2-year appointment would be through December of 2024. Staff is recommending approval. Ms. Willems was planning on being here tonight, but she called in with a little bit of a headache.
Any questions for John regarding the appointment? Any questions from the public here present today? Anyone on the web?
No. And you're recommending her reappointment?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Ms. Willems to the Consolidated Mosquito Abatement District.
Second.
Your motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 council member absent. Item 11, consider a request from the Building Industry Association to draft a letter to the California Public Utilities Commission regarding the impact of Pacific Gas and Electric business practices and how they are negatively impacting the City of Clovis development. And again, our city manager, John Holt.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Staff is in receipt of a request from the BIA to draft a letter to the California Public Utilities Commission. This is in regards to complaints about PG&E's business practices and how it's impacting local development, primarily residential, from the BIA. As you know, the City of Fresno considered this item last week and ultimately ended up tabling the discussion until December, pushed it down the road. Just a side note, it's a very complicated issue and costly decision to replace one or all of the services of utility to the city, such as the City of Fresno or the City of Clovis. In the letter from the BIA, they identify basically four complaints. One is going to be transformer lead times, sometimes being up to 18 to 24 months. Compounded on number 2 there is going to be, once the transformers are received, the delay in energizing the homes. And a big one for the City of Clovis is going to be the impact on home buyers themselves. With those kind of delays and they're having rate locks and mortgage rates going up, it's likely that some of those people that put money down are losing that locked rate and potentially are being not able to get into the homes. And finally, the complaint from the BIA is going to be the lack of a long-term solution or a sense of urgency from PG&E to resolve some of these issues. As far as like what the City of Fresno began looking at 10 years ago and brought it back again in 2019, are options for a city to consider for utilities such as electricity. There's two major categories. One is going to be a community choice aggregation, which is a CCA, and that provides an option for a jurisdiction to buy electricity on the market as it sees fit. A lot of these are a little bit more affluent cities that provide the option to buy some of their energy from more green sources. A community choice aggregation in this case wouldn't solve the problems that are currently on the table for PG&E in delivering products and getting the homes electrified. The second one is much more complicated, which would be the city of would create its own utility, and then I'll just leave it at that. Would be very complicated and costly. PG&E is a very large organization. The recommendation this evening is for council to direct staff to draft a letter to the CPUC to request PG&E reprioritize to move new business development up on the priority list, which is currently last behind storm repair, wildfire prevention, and renewable energy. Mr. Prandini, I believe, is on the phone, Carrie. Mr. Prandini is not on the phone. But he put the request in. It's a reasonable request. We're looking for council to authorize staff to draft that letter with the mayor's signature to the CPUC and see what we can get done.
Questions for John? Lynn?
Well, I think, are you suggesting just taking this Wanger-Jones letter and making something our own?
Correct.
Good call. Two things I think aren't in here. I think one is there's an impact on municipalities, right? We only have two sources of revenue, and one of them is at risk if we don't have homes selling and people being able to move in. And the second is, I think, just from a human standpoint, we do a lot of work with Habitat for Humanity and trying to get folks into houses. And I just remember when we did the groundbreaking and the opening of, I think it's your family's home site, and that family was months later. So there's a really human toll. It talks about that a little bit, but it talks about more like the home buyer finance idea. But the human impact is that people, in that case, are waiting for Habitat for Humanity homes, and we can't get them in. And so I think I'm not fond of this letter, but I think writing a letter saying why it matters to the city of Clovis in some words, I think makes sense. But I would add impact on us and impact on homeowners that we're trying to get into affordable housing.
Understood.
Sure. John, is there anything that we can do as a city to help PG&E get these things done faster? I mean, is there any red tape on our part that we could help them do their job better and get these things in? I'm assuming there isn't, but I got to ask the question.
No, not that I'm aware of, and I think that it was brought up at the last meeting we had with the BIA on the delay and the request. I actually reached out to Mike and asked him, what can the city do? And he said drafting a letter to the CPUC would help. But in addition to that, he mentioned that having city council reach out to state legislators or assembly to begin to push this thing up a big hill would assist. So from the staff standpoint in expediting something for PG&E, not really, but as our local elected officials, potentially you could reach out to state representatives and see if we could start moving this up.
I guess probably what I was referring to was, is there some procedure inside the building department that we could change to make this more streamlined for them? I'm assuming the answer is no.
I'm going to verify by looking at the building right there, and the nod is no.
Okay, I got to ask the question. I know 2 years ago, the mayor of San Jose had reached out to several people, including me, about an alternative plan with power, and I don't know. I think it died on the vine, quite frankly, but I'll look into that again. I don't think that us having our own utility is really viable. But I mean, we're doing a lot of stuff with solar energy now. We're doing our own thing, so hopefully, yeah. But I'm in support of the letter, certainly.
Can I just chime in really fast? So we did look at community choice aggregation
10 years ago.
12
Yeah.
years ago. Robert Ford led all. We got fairly far down the road, but it certainly wasn't just us. It has to be. So I think the city of Fresno chasing that on their own is just unusual, but that there's no way that would be successful. So I think it has to be some kind of revisiting that regional idea. But maybe if you would be open to that, if we write our letter to PUC, can you just send a copy to all of our elected officials to say that, wanting you to be aware that the city sent this letter off,
Yes.
if you're okay with that?
John, from PG's perspective, do we know this is 100% accurate, as in this is the priority of PG, or is this just someone did the research and we're just looking at it? Because I know we have PG&E representatives locally. I would like for us to actually
Reach out.
talk with them and say, is this the situation before we write this letter? I'm all for the letter because I want it to go so that way
We can do that.
continue. Okay, thanks.
And John, on the community choice aggregation, it wouldn't solve the current problem, but as I remember what we tried to do 10 years ago, it was the purchasing of power, but the grid itself still would belong to the utilities.
That's correct.
And so transformers, in this case, would still belong to the utilities,
That's correct.
and that's why it wouldn't work.
Correct.
But if we had our own, like Sacramento has SMUD, they've had it for like ages. They even had a nuclear power plant. So we would have to invest that kind of money where we would have our own production, distribution, and then bring it to the curb.
Correct. It'd be hundreds of millions of dollars, another public utilities department.
So another utility. So we have water, we have sewer. We'd have to have the third one. It'd be our equivalent to Sacramento's SMUD. And we'd have to finance it ourselves through our users. But this shows something that's quite glaring, that as long as PG&E is the monopoly, nothing's going to happen.
And as Councilmember Ashbeck noted, the only way that this would really work is if we had multiple jurisdictions to create the total cost divided by significantly more users than just the city of Clovis.
Right.
KCRD.
I would say Kings River Conservation District and Dave Orth. So, I mean, it had a power source, sort of, in terms of water, at least. So, and that went all the way down to Tulare, as I recall. I mean, it was a big regional idea then, and we worked on it for a couple of years, and ultimately it was hard to sign on to it was just complicated, so it didn't. Not that we couldn't do it again, but it's complicated.
Well, PG&E does need a competitor, and until there is one, we're beholden to the monopoly. So I'm for the letter, so.
Perfect.
So any more questions for staff? I'll open it to the public. Anyone here in the public wishing to comment on this item? Anyone on the web?
No.
Is Mike on? Mike's not on. So I'll bring it back to the council. So I like your idea. Make it our own.
Yeah.
And include.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we send a letter, make it our own, make it relevant to Clovis, copy our elected officials, our state elected officials, signed by the mayor.
Second. We have a motion to second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 4 ayes, no nos, and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item. Public hearings. A public hearing is an open consideration within a regular or special meeting of the City Council for which special notice has been given and may be required. When a public hearing is continued, notice of the adjourned item is required as per Government Code 54,955.1. Item 12, consider introduction of ordinance, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clovis, amending sections 8.1.02, 8.2.101, 8.5.101, 8.6.101, 8.15.101, 8.16.101, 8.17.101 of Title 8 of the Clovis Municipal Code pertaining to adoption of 2022 Clovis Building Electrical, Mechanical, Plumbing, Residential, Energy, and Green Plumbing Standards Code. And our brand-new employee, right? Jesse Newton, Deputy Building Official. Will present.
2 years.
He has new to present? Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
It's all good. Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jesse Newton. I'm the Deputy Building Official for the City of Clovis. I'm here tonight to present a short, brief informational on our code process and adoption. As it says up there, this presentation is informational only. It is a mandatory code adoption from the state of California for the 2022 California Codes and Regulations. On January 1st, the 2022 California Codes, Regulations, and Title 24 will be in effect, meaning this is what we do. All of our plan review and inspections are based off these codes. The code adoption process is every 3 years. The next adoption is in 2026 for the 2025 California Codes and Regulations of Title 24. Here are some of the codes that we have adopted. It's the building code, residential code, plumbing code, energy code, electrical code, and green building code. Again, these are all that we use to do our plan review and our inspections. Some of the most significant changes to the code, and there was a lot. Here's some of the top ones. Agent in place for requirements for residential projects. New requirements for energy storage systems, batteries, for residential, commercial, and multifamily buildings. Requirements for all electrical service to new homes to be 225 amp rated residential for residential projects. New electrical vehicle charging requirements for residential projects. And surge protection for all service supply dwelling units. We started out early in our outreach program. We started out in September with the BIA, keeping them informed on how the process was going. We've been communicating with them in person at BIA meetings and in email correspondence. We've also been noticing the industry of any changes to the procedures or updated codes on our webpage. So all those documents are there. Once the adoption of the ordinance is in place, we'll also put that on our webpage under the building page. All documents that pertain to the code adoption or processes changes are available at our front counter for our customers. Again, this presentation was for information on the mandatory adoption of the 2022 California Code and Regulations. I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Jesse?
I have a question. I would be just curious what the, this isn't a test, but what the charging station requirements or whatever, the electrical charging station requirements for residential are. And I find it slightly ironic that we just followed a conversation about PG&E's inability to deliver energy, and now we have all these electrical, gotta have this and that. So is there, what's the nexus between those two? I mean, are these codes gonna put more pressure on our utility that's unable to deliver what we need now, or do you have a forecast about that in your world?
This is a great question, Mayor Pro Tem. In my opinion, this would create a little more range on our electrical requirements. But as we do more and more solar on homes, which is required, this will make up for that difference.
That's fair. That's a good point. What are the charging station requirements for residential, just out of curiosity? Having them?
Another good question. At this point, it is EV charge ready, meaning they have to have the system in place so they can install it with ease.
Thanks.
Anyone else? I have a similar question. So now we're going to be EV ready, has to have solar, right? New homes have to have solar. And now everyone wants to have batteries. And most of these batteries are lithium. And lithium have the knack for destroying themselves. And, and causing fires wherever they're at. So do these new regulations, address that issue that as technology is today, some of these batteries are kind of dangerous.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a great question. In the code, it does have some distance from each other, some requirements for how they can be installed inside garages or other structures. Certain sizes would have to be installed outside. There are requirements for heat detection in circumstances and smoke detectors within the building. So the code does address a little bit of that.
So smoke, you said smoke detectors or fire detectors?
Heat
Heat?
and smoke.
So the homeowner will know if their unit's getting overheated? No?
If it starts fire, obviously the smoke alarms will go off. If they can't install a smoke alarm, they can use a heat detector. So if the garage catches fire, the heats up the garage, the detector will go off and alarm the people to get out of the building.
But as it is today, there is no requirement for automatic fire suppression for those units, for the battery. People are installing these huge batteries now. No?
Another great question. So, any new construction is required to have sprinkler systems in the garage and in the home.
Yeah, but that's for mostly the kitchen area, right?
No, sir, that's completely throughout the home.
Okay,
and
but
the garage.
I'm talking about where you installed your brand new Tesla batteries or your solar, for your solar.
So if they install the, batteries within the garage will have smoke alarms and heat alarms, but it'll also have fire sprinklers within the garage, already pre-mandated.
And water can suppress the fire caused by a lithium battery?
I would have to get back to you with that question. I'm not a firefighter.
Okay.
I couldn't answer that question.
They're presenting after you guys. Okay, thank you.
That's what you just, when you go, come back there and ask those guys. Somebody help them out.
Okay. I'll open it up to the public. Anyone here in this chamber wishing to comment on this item?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Michael Cunningham, a Clovis resident. Very prophetic subject, Mr. Mayor, that you brought up, because today, after only 14 months of waiting for a replacement, my 9.8 kilowatt backup battery was installed from LG. The old one quit. Well, it didn't actually quit. It started bulging, and the case deflected more than an inch. It was very close to a fire. And what I'm told is that a lithium-ion battery, when it catches fire, fire department can correct me if I'm wrong, you don't put it out. It takes off like a jet. I've seen some visuals of a lithium-ion battery taking off, and you don't put it out with water. I just throw that as edification. The supply chain for the two companies at the time that I put mine in were LG and Tesla. LG wanted to be first, but not necessarily the best. They ended up recalling my unit and 9,999 others. It was a 10,000 unit recall. Right in the middle of the supply chain issues and all that other. So it took me just 2 days past 14 months to get a replacement. And they just completed it today. Just thought I'd offer that for information.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Anyone on the web?
No.
I'll bring it back to the council.
I'll make a motion that we introduce the ordinance, to the City Council, amending sections as the mayor read into the record earlier.
Second.
I'm not gonna read those all.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes. 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item 13, consider approval of a resolution making and adopting express findings to the 2022 California Fire Code reasonably required based on local climatic, geological, and topographical conditions, and consider introduction of an ordinance amending various sections of Title IV, Chapter 4.4, Article 1 of the Clovis Municipal Code relating to the California Fire Code. And Chad, are you presenting, or who has?
Yes, sir, but my chief would like to say a few things first.
And, Rick.
That's the brains of the operation for the fire code, but I'll answer the fire suppression and the first portion of the answer. So where we are is you can, in an existing home, put in a battery, and the home doesn't have to be sprinkled or any of those types of things. So even though we talk about sprinklers, and what the building department was talking about is in a new home. So if I built a new home today, wanted to have solar, well, solar is required of a bigger system, put in a battery power wall, then that would be a sprinkler system. But that sprinkler system in no way, shape, or form, what we call a 13R for residential, does not come out to put nearly enough water out to even cool a lithium-ion battery fire. So it's really designed, and where we've seen them very effective is a small garage fire, and it's managed to keep the fire in the garage without it going into the house like you normally see for those fires that occur in the middle of the night or times when no one's home. They've been very effective, work very well. The downside to a 13R is the attic is not sprinkled. So any attic fire runs the entire roof, and that's where that is. But even on lithium, where we've done to cut costs to development and pieces along those lines, is we don't have, if you drive down streets, a lot of hydrants on main thoroughfares. Freeways don't have it. So when you go look at electric vehicles that catch fire, we don't have the copious amounts of water that it takes to put those out. So we have to shuttle water in, because our fire engines hold 500 gallons of water. They're great enough water to put out a standard vehicle today, but like what you see Teslas when they catch fire, their estimate is somewhere around 20,000 gallons. So we have to figure ways to get that water to them. So part of where we look and have started in the last several years back to putting hydrants on the exterior main arterials of the city as we grow, just so we have water capacity to be able to solve those. It's the only item that will basically, it's just copious cooling over time, and it's 20,000 gallons. On a standard single-family residence fire, we probably don't use more than 2,000 gallons, to put it in perspective.
Say the last part again, single-family residence.
Probably less than 2,000 gallons of water.
That's what it requires to put it out?
That's probably, most of them, our goal is to define it to the room of contents, and that's less than probably 500 gallons. Is by the way we aerosolize the water with our nozzles are very effective at reducing the heat and putting that to work. But, obviously if it's bigger and larger, it takes a lot more water. But a lithium-ion battery, as he says, it just keeps basically degrading and in turn generating heat. So it's just a copious amounts of water.
20,000 gallons of water to put out a Tesla fire, basically is what you're saying?
Or any other
I know, but any
EV
other
models. I don't want to say just Teslas, but that's what is mostly known. So
I don't
out
have one,
there
it doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding. So wow.
So that's where it is, and know that they know statistically, and I forget the number off the top of my head, but I believe there's 50,000 cells inside a full EV vehicle. And in turn, so there's 50,000. So it sounds like it's a lot. So there's basically defects in every million cells. So a million cells, think, okay, that's a lot. It's not that big, but a Tesla has 50,000 of them. So figure there's a battery defect in basically every 200 or so by the math. I think my math's right there. So that are there, and they just unfortunately have them. Even when you're one on the wall, they just have defects, as he's saying, and in turn they start to bubble and off they go.
Wow.
So I will turn it over to Chad and Rick knows everything there is to know about the code. So when I definitely don't know anything, I just go to the man who knows it all. So he'll be able to answer all your questions.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Much like the building code, the fire code is updated on a 3-year cycle. Tonight we're here to talk about the California Fire Code adoption, again, coming down from the California Fire Marshal's office. For the municipality, we're really more looking at the fire protection systems, ingress and egress, for vehicle access and fire-rated construction. Those are the things that truly out of the fire code impact us as a local municipality. The fire code also carries weight for wildland urban interface areas and clearances and things like that. But where we're looking is modification of the Clovis Municipal Code and adopting ongoing local amendments that are allowed, which we've done since we adopted the code and have been ongoing since that time. As published in 2022, there really aren't any unique changes that would impact Clovis at a local level, nor the Building Industry Association, which we would advise them of in advance of adoption. Primarily, the changes that are made are administrative at best and impact the wildland urban interface area. As I mentioned before, the local amendments already adopted in 2019 continue to carry forward, and those are just based on the unique topographical, geographical, and climate issues that we face here in the Central Valley. And again, the building industry is well aware of those and has been compliant with those since our last code adoption. The city is bound by the requirements of the California Fire Code. The adoption ensures that we're able to uphold on a consistent and effective basis every thing that comes up with new construction, as well as ongoing enforcement within the Prevention Bureau. It affects business and residential. And adopting the local amendments really does give us a better opportunity to ensure consistent response and protection of both commercial and residential occupancies, along with our firefighters, because again, it does carry forward the fire sprinkler component as well. As Chief pointed out, Rick Foltz is our fire and life safety specialist. He's been around for a number of years. I can't think of a better person in the department to speak to any questions that you might have, and that concludes my presentation.
Questions? Staff? I see none. Awesome. All open to the public. Anyone from the public with questions regarding this item? No one? Anyone on the web?
No.
No one on the web? I'll bring you back.
Thank you for that. Sorry we don't have any questions. I just think it's pretty interesting, the drought, the climate, you know, the heat, the impact of heat on people's health. And I do think, I'm surprised there aren't more changes actually, but it's interesting. I've never found this particularly interesting, but between you and the building code, this is like riveting.
I'm glad we could add some fun to the evening for you.
I'll make a motion that we, do you want a motion? Sure.
Yes.
That we adopt the findings to the 2022 California Fire Code as stated in the staff.
Second. We have motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 So it's four ayes, no noes, and one absent.
Mayor, if I may, that item actually, we require two motions. There's the resolution and the ordinance.
Okay, so that was for the resolution?
Hold on, I'm going back to my paper.
Let's see, so.
And consider, oh, sorry. All right, I'll also make a motion that we amend the various sections of Title IV, Chapter 4.4, Article 1 of the Municipal Code. Yeah?
Second.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item 14, consider approval of resolution approving the city's updated master administrative fee schedule. Staff members are Assistant City Manager Andrew Hauser.
Hey, thank you, Mayor, members of council. This evening we'll be reviewing the master administrative fee schedule. There are some proposed updates. Some quick background. The master fee schedule establishes fees for a variety of city services and is for cost recovery purposes. It's updated periodically. The last update was to eliminate the transit fares in 2020. Most fees that we're looking at tonight have not been adjusted in over 20 years. Proposed fees have been adjusted to address actual cost of service, and the departments have done an analysis of this. Updates are proposed for the following departments: Planning and Development Services, Public Utilities, General Services, the Police Department, and Fire Department. Some next steps, if approved: the fee schedule will be published, and the new schedule will be effective January 1st, 2023. All the departments with fee adjustments are here to answer any specific questions you may have. That concludes my report. We're ready for any questions.
Any questions for Randy?
Yeah, I had a question with regards to the senior services. You can... With anticipation of the new hall, are you waiting until that gets, we move in before you look at hall rental, sort of fees, or is this a good time to do it so that we don't have to come back? I just wanted to know sort of your thought process on that.
Yes, thank you for your question. We will wait until we get a little bit closer to, take a look at an analysis of what the current, kind of like what the rent looks like in this area. I've already done a preliminary sort of look around to see what other similar spaces are renting for. But I wanted to wait because I don't, the economy is all over the place. So we're going to wait probably till early next year. Talk to the city manager about when we'll come back and start looking at different fees for the new center.
Okay. So in other words, we'll have it in place before someone comes and looks at this fee schedule and then renting it out because this is on the books. I don't want that to be the confusion because, they may go, oh, $900, I get this whole new center, how great it is. So I just want to make sure we get the value.
I share your concern, especially since today I had a phone call asking about if they could rent the hall in the new building. They wanted to be the first one to have a wedding in there. So I told them, call me back in January or February. I'll have a better idea of what it'll look like.
Okay. And then my other question is with regards to the senior classes. It's a big jump from the $5 to the up to $50. And so I wanted to see why such a big, I read a little bit, but why such a big range? And then is that because it's class specific because the materials in a certain class for a certain day may require that much cost? Or, so this gives you the flexibility to give better classes, I'm assuming, that people will have more materials.
You are correct. That's exactly right. So right now, the way our class fee is structured, I'm constrained to only be able to charge $5 per day, which makes it really tough when we're trying to price out this new concept, for us at least. We call them make and take art classes. They're incredibly popular, but in order to price them to try to at least recover, we really try to recover what we're paying for the instructor. We don't get there very often. We typically underwrite a majority of what the cost is. But in order for us to be able to do more of these take and make classes that are just one day, we need to expand the cost. Otherwise, we end up making them into a series of classes because of this price constraint.
Okay. No, I think what gets lost is sort of the uniqueness and the expansion of the different types of classes we can offer our seniors by doing this. And so I just want to make sure that was why, instead of every class we can charge up to 50. And so I like that. So that's all I have for senior. My other question is in regards to recreation and the batting cages. And I know it's only a $2 increase, but I don't know who's in charge of that, but is it a big need to go up to $5? If $5 doesn't seem like a big increase, but I want to know who's going, because if it's people who really are just recreation and or it's not used that much, this may discourage use of our batting cages. I just wanted to understand that part of it.
So the intent for recreation, the batting range fees, is to not have to come back here in 2 years. And so $5 is the very top end. And I'm expecting that to hold us for quite a while. I don't imagine us raising fees to $5 for a very long time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
So, Amy, these ranges are not absolutes. Like, starting whenever this takes effect, January 1, it's not going to cost $5 at the batting range, or it's not going to cost $50 for a make-and-take class?
No, it just allows us flexibility for the future, so we're not coming back here year over year over year.
Okay. Because usually we have a good contingent of seniors saying, don't raise our prices, and I don't know where they all are tonight. I don't know. So I think we've been sensitive to find some other way to, because you might not take the class. If it's $1 or $5, if I'm a senior on a fixed income, that might be why I don't take the class. And the social cost and the health cost of that is way more than $4. So I just think we have to be sort of careful on how you execute or implement the ranges, but I hear what you're saying.
We still do have my mantra, which is no one's left behind, and we have a very generous community that every Christmas really donates a lot of money to us, and we're able to hold on to that money and throughout the year. If we understand someone's having a hard time and they want to take a class, we very quietly and sensitively will pay for their class for them or underwrite some parts of their class. And that information usually comes to us through the teachers. They really understand what's happening in their classroom and with their students. So if you want to take a class at the senior center and your pocketbook doesn't allow you to, we are there for you.
That's nice. I will say the thing that I always say, could we not wait every 20 years to do this? That's also a Clovis mantra. Let's not raise fees for a really long time, and then let's just raise them all. So 20 years is too long. Thanks.
Sure. I think, Andy, this is probably for you. Appeal fees. I see that we're increasing those. If I appeal, let's say I have an entertainment permit and for some reason I get into an appeal situation. If I prevail during the appeal, do I get my money back, or is that just what I pay for?
I don't believe you get your money back for an appeal fee.
Okay.
But that is a police department-related fee, so if I've misspoken, feel free to speak up. But, are we good?
It would probably be more of a city policy rather than, and I'm okay with that. I just had the question. Okay, thank you. Sure.
Sorry, I just have a question. This might be to Scott Cross. I just noticed we have a small mistake on one fee that we hardly change or charge. Can we change that if they adopt the motion, or do they have to bring that back later?
No, you can enter it into the record tonight if you want to call out that fee and the amount.
Absolutely. I just happened to notice it. We looked at it with Andy 4 times, but you look at all the fees and it got minced. On page 158, the fire suppression hood system, existing third visit noncompliance, we reduced it to 95, but our policy is we go out to try to get compliance. We don't charge you for if you are a nice business and, major changes, but if we do, it goes back to the first visit for the charge because we're out there 3 times. We only did it for 1 visit, so it should be $285.
$285.
Where are you?
I'm on page 7 of ours, or 158 on the agenda packet.
What's the category?
It's fire suppression hood system, existing third visit of noncompliance. Compliant is crossed out, and non-compliant was stated as 95.
And non-compliant should be 231?
285.
285.
285, okay.
So we just happened to notice that. Thank you.
Another question?
Nope.
I'll open it up to the public. Anyone wishing any comment on this item? Seeing none. On the web?
No.
Okay, bring it back to council.
I'll make a motion, we approve the updated master administrative fee schedule with the change noted by the fire chief.
I'll second that, and I wanted to put on the record, I appreciate fire reducing 3 or 4 of your fees, and for government to do that, it's great. So, yeah. Your motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent.
Next items, administrative items. Administrative items are matters on the regular city council agenda other than public hearings. Item 15, consider adoption of ordinance 2209, an ordinance of the city council of the city of Clovis, amending Article 5, Department of Public Utilities, Section 2.2501 and 2.2502, and adding sections 2.2503 and 2.2504, Chapter of 2.2, Officers and Employees of the Clovis Municipal Code pertaining to the Department of Public Utilities and the position of Public Utilities Director. This one we saw before, we had a vote of four ayes, no nos, and 1 absent. Did you have an opportunity, Linda? Okay, so, and do we want to hear any more staff report on this, or no? No. So, okay. So, I'll entertain a motion for anyone in the public came to speak on this item. Nobody? Anyone on the web?
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve adoption of ordinance 2209.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes 3 ayes, no noes, 1 abstention, and 1 absence. Okay, city manager's comments. John.
The only thing I want to share with you is I was able to participate in a 3-day training exercise sponsored by the California City Management Foundation in Pasadena over the weekend. 20 city managers get together with 5 facilitators and just pretty much compare how different cities do business. It was really enlightening for me. I enjoyed it, and looking forward to implementing some of the ideas that they shared with me.
Good.
And you're really lucky to work here.
I was going to add something since you did. It was going to be that in going to some of these training sessions, the one thing that I do get out of it is a sense of perspective on how well this, I'm not trying to suck up, how well the city of Clovis is managed and the lack of problems or drama that is out there in the world today.
Council comments. Vaughn.
I want to thank John and Carrie for the coins given to the Cub Scouts. Went to visit, speak to them, but just public service and stuff on Tuesday evening, and so they really appreciated receiving the challenge coins that Mayor Bessinger created for us. So, and then I wanted to let the council know I've been reappointed onto the Housing Community Economic Development Committee of the League of Cities.
We do what?
I was just reappointed onto that
okay.
committee of the League of Cities. Yeah.
Thank you. Lynn?
Good luck tomorrow, Mr. Bessinger. What do you do tomorrow? Walk around and watch the clock go tick, tick, tick as slow as it can go?
You've done it more times than he has. So
I know that's what I would be doing. Anyway, good luck to you. Thank you. Expect to see you back up here. All right. Anyway, can you just remind me we meet on Monday, the 21st, which is my birthday. It's a national holiday. It's nice that you're canceling the meeting that day. The December 5th meeting is the changing of the guard?
No. Actually, the plan right now is going to be that we have the election tomorrow. The county clerk has up to 30 days to provide us the certification results. Tentatively, we're looking at the December 5th meeting being the kind of farewell celebration for Bob and Jose. And then we have the tree lighting ceremony and what else, Carrie? Anything? That's it. And then the 12th would be the reorganization.
And the new council members will be sworn in on the 12th?
On the 12th.
Okay.
And then the 19th will be the first regular meeting of the new council.
Okay. Anyway, that's all. Best of luck.
Drew? I had the pleasure, my wife and I both had the pleasure to come in and vote at City Hall. The, Mr. Cruz's staff could not have been more helpful. They were incredible, friendly. You walk in, what do you need? How can I help you get it done? So if we could maybe give them the challenge coin, but we probably need to think of something that's more appropriate to give to a lady, since we're going to be doing that more often, and I'll have to defer to the, yes. You know, something that says thank you, but something they'll probably put on their table rather than a challenge coin.
I
that they have to
actually
explain.
like challenge coins.
Well, yeah.
As a girl, I would say they're still, they're a memento of the city and the service and public good. So I think I like mine, and you gave me one for the police department when you left it in Arlington, so I like that one too.
Oh, yes, yep.
So they're very sentimental.
If it wasn't appropriate for me to glad hand them whilst I was voting, so if you could, if we could pass that on to them, and maybe we'll write a letter to Mr. Cruz thanking him for the professionalism. I mean, they walked me through the process, and they couldn't have been nicer. That's all I have.
Thank you, will do.
Well, we want to encourage all of the Clovis voters to vote. And I was on Twitter, my Twitter account, and I noticed this gentleman from the Bay Area, and he was commenting on flags. I guess there's something going on Twitter regarding city flags. And he didn't like ours, so I had a comment on it. He said it wasn't designed properly, so I beg to differ. And I had some people that agree with me. I think we have a beautiful flag. So I posted our flag being flown while a young cowgirl riding on her horse. So he didn't like a lot of flags, a lot of city flags. Ours was one of them. But his designs, the ones he did like, I guess he's a flag designer or something like that. But it's some kind of program they have going on Twitter. And so if you are a member of Twitter, you might go see it. Get me his address. Yeah. Anyway, now on Twitter. That's all I have today. So, no, we don't. Do we have closed session? No, no closed session today. So we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you for coming.